Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz saxophonist Chris Greene on the 2022 PlaySPACE 2 Play Harder CD. This Evanston, Illinois-based tenor and soprano saxophonist leads his quartet on his home turf at an Evanston venue called Space. The music is both intense and refined, the sound of a band that stretches out at every opportunity while still playing the room and maintaining an overall accessibility. He talks about this music, COVID life, hope for the future, and much, much more. Enjoy.
Well, we get a rendezvous here. The time before we spoke, I think, was in 2014. Earth was a completely different place.
Yes, it was. Yeah, there was a complete. Yeah, can you imagine?
Man alive, if we would have told each other the scenario of what's going on right now, we wouldn't have believed each other.
Right, exactly. Like, politically, the disease, the lockdown, all that stuff. It's like, wow, it's like a lot has changed. A lot has changed in 8 years? Yeah. It's been an active time, but it's great to catch up. I'm looking forward to talking about the new live album, and I think that's the thing that's key about this that I find very reassuring is that, not only coming out now towards the end of this pandemic, but having it be a live album where you can actually promote it live. What does this release mean for you? It's a very good thing. It's nice to know, first of all, that people missed live music. Even just the handful of gigs that we did, during the shutdown or just when things were starting to open up, we did throughout the summer of 2020, we did a bunch of backyard parties and stuff like that. In a lot of ways, they were almost more gratifying than playing in clubs because, people missed live music so much. They would pay whatever whatever we would charge. And then they pass a hat around, and so we make even more money. So they're just like this overflowing of like emotion and gratitude, and everybody, we were happy to play for audiences. They were happy to see, live music again. But just getting back to what you're saying, it's great to be playing live again for people who want to be there and want to support us and see our growth and see what we've been working on, and if we've improved since the last time they heard us. So it's been fun.
So this is your second album at this particular venue in Evanston, and it talks about how you've had the nucleus for your band for so long. What was it like to actually be able to be at a point where having a live album is a reality right now? Was that premeditated? I guess you could have done a recorded piece, but was it something you really wanted to have something live coming out right now?
Initially, no. It was a happy accident. Like our previous live album was called PlaySPACE, and that was kind of a happy accident initially as well. It was like one of the great things about recording, or one of the great things about Space, the venue that we played at. In addition to just being this fantastic venue and great place to see a show, and they treat musicians really, really well, and just a fantastic experience all around. But on top of everything else, a great perk about working there is that you can, if you bring a flash drive or a portable hard drive, you can basically get the multi-tracks of your show, like when you walk out of the door. So, and you can do whatever you want with them. So the last time for the first PlaySPACE, I was more or less just gonna like hold on to them. Maybe update our demo, maybe give them away as like a free download to fans or whatever. I wasn't entirely sure what we were gonna do with it. And so when it ended up happening, it was kind of like, I told my producer at the time, like, just make me a rough mix and we'll see what we think of it. And I was kind of listening back like, man, we were really coalescing as a band. The first recording that we did with our drummer, who's been with us now for 11 years, it was actually another live recording that we did. He pretty much hit the ground running back when he joined us in 2011. And, flash forward 8 years for the first PlaySPACE, like we played hundreds of gigs and really coalesced. So I'm like, man, this stuff really needs to be captured. So we released the first PlaySPACE in 2019 just because it's kind of like a spontaneous, like, surprise release. This time out, like, again, it wasn't really planned. I wasn't sure if we recorded again. We played a gig in 2019, and then we played a gig in 2020, and we recorded both shows. And again, I wasn't really sure what we were going to do with them. If we were going to hold it down the line for an eventual live album, or we were just going to I wasn't sure what we were going to do. So, or we were just going to I was going to record the stuff and then make some notes and then okay, this is what we're going to do for the next studio album, but stuff locked down. And so I was just kind of spinning my wheels thinking what should we do? And again, it was just kind of like listening to the recordings, and I'm like, man, these came out even better than the last one. And like, maybe people need to hear this one as well. So we basically took the best of the 2019 show, an extra track from the 2020 show, which was literally like weeks before the actual shutdown. And then we did one more extra studio cut, and then we basically compiled it together, and it's the new album.
So what are you ultimately hoping the listener gets from this album?
I want them to hear the album. One of the initial reactions to be, wow, if that's how they sound on a recording, I've got to see them live. I've got to see what they're about, because, so you're hearing, 4 musicians we're all friends off stage. We all hang out. We have fun. We have fun. I think that's another thing. It's like, there are tons of fantastic jazz recordings, and you can tell that if they're bands that are one night bands, bands that are just together for that particular live recording, or the bands that have been together for a number of years. I think I wanted to get back to like that Cannonball Adderley vibe, where you could tell the band was just really, really enjoying themselves. Not that Sonny Rollins live at the Village Vanguard or Coltrane live in Seattle, like, not that they weren't having fun and enjoying themselves, but I just wanted to, I wanted to bring some general joy back to the listener, and if you're tuning in.
As we do get back to more live music and promoting new albums, how do you see the jazz community reemerging stronger? A lot of things had to be picked up, a lot of new skills, lots of things have changed in 2 years, but how do you see yourself as a part of this jazz community reemerging stronger?
That's a good question. I'll be 50 next year, and I've been at this semi-professionally since 1994, pretty much full-time, 100% full-time since the year like 2000, 2001. I'm definitely a lot smarter now, and it's funny. Like, I guess in a weird way, I've become. For instance, like if I call like Branford Marsalis, who's been a really important mentor of mine for the past couple of years, like I would call him for advice, and like, what should I work on? What are you listening to? Blah blah blah. Now it's weird. Younger musicians are starting to call me for those very same things, and I'm just kind of like, it's kind of weird. I'm like, oh right, I am older than you are by 25 years or so, and picking my brain about like how to survive as a musician, or how to balance work life and domestic life and all that other stuff. So it's really interesting. One thing, at least during the shutdown, I really took it upon myself to address a lot of my own musical deficiencies. Like, there's a playlist of whatever that I have on iTunes of songs that I need to transcribe, or songs that I need to learn, and blah blah blah. The list was pretty much growing out of control. You're working, you have time to practice, but you don't really have time to really like get under the hood and work on all that stuff. One positive thing for me about the shutdown was like, oh man, if I only had time to really work on this, and this, I would be incredible. And it's just like the universe steps in and says, all right, jerk, you've got all the time in the world now. Get to work. And so I started really working on stuff and transcribing and working on my vocabulary and just learning more songs and just getting better, like dabbling in like clarinet and flute and stuff, and just really just trying to like get, not that I have any aspirations of doing that, but just scratches a different part of my brain or whatever. So it just things like that, just trying to improve my overall skill. And even just like recording at home, like I'd had several opportunities in the past to like, people would send me tracks and I'd have to go to somebody else's house who had a studio set up at their house. And so basically I kind of got off my butt and set up my own little home studio. So basically that was another way of, keeping income in and keeping active. Like, people would send me tracks or stuff that they wanted horn arrangements for, and I would record it at home. And so things like that. Like, so basically I had time to like assess a lot of my deficiencies and improve myself in a lot of ways.
So when we do get back more and more in earnest to live music, what are you hoping we all realize about the power of live music that we've largely all been away from for 2 years now?
Just how important it is. How important it's like you need it more than you think you do. Like you go to a gym. Obviously, it's not live music, but people are working out to the music blaring over the loudspeaker, or they bring their own headphones. It's important. It's soundtracks and movies are important. It's important for us to communicate our ideas to an audience, and they need, the audience needs something. saw this great quote from the late great Milford Graves recently. He was doing some interview, and he said something to the effect of like, we forget that we're not, just saxophone players or pianists or vocalists or whatever. We're, our job, weird cosmic way is to like play our stuff and stimulate their creativity so they can go and, be a better lawyer, a better mother or father, or be a better doctor or a painter or, CPA or whatever. Just one hand kind of washes the other. So we're certainly I'm not as important as a heart surgeon by any mean or shape, form, or fashion, but if we can help that heart surgeon do a better job with something we do, then we're doing a good job.
So let's get into the good business here of finding out the best place to pick up Headspace or PlaySPACE 2. And maybe upcoming shows. Anything that would be a part of your universe that people could dabble into more?
The album release party is at Space, of course, the scene of the crime, on Sunday, May 29th. That should be a fantastic show. It's always great playing there. As far as other things that we are doing, we've got a monthly residency at a great spot in Berwyn, Illinois, which is a western suburb of Chicago. We are there the second Wednesday of every month, so the next time we'll be there will be Wednesday, April 13th. We're also playing a great spot in the south suburbs called Copper Still on Sunday, April 10th. We'll be at a great spot downtown on June 23rd. We're actually going to treat that as like our second album release party at a great spot called Winters in the Streeterville neighborhood in downtown Chicago, called Winters Jazz Club. And then we'll actually be doing a week at the legendary Jazz Showcase, starting on Thursday, July 28th to Sunday, July 31st. So thankfully, we've got a really, really busy summer. Thankfully interested in what we do. We're just going to try to play in front of as many appreciative audiences as we can.
Man, that's music to my ears. Chris, thank you for taking a minute out to open up about the album. Good luck with everything as we move forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us again. Great talking to you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest minds in Evanston, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Chris for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.